Stop button.
10. Shades of Blue. Finally, Natalie was going home for the weekend. She had all her books and clothes packed. Even the wretched cane was there, although it had been shoved deep inside her duffel bag under some dirty laundry. Miss Audra made Natalie promise to take the cane home, but Natalie certainly didn't plan on using it. Bus 52! Natalie's bus. Eager to go, she hoisted her backpack, grabbed her duffel, and moved quickly. But as she rushed to climb aboard, she missed the step completely and fell forward, scraping one leg on the step and landing in an awkward heap, half on, half off the bus. "Are you okay?" Several hands rushed in to help her up. "I'm fine," Natalie said quickly, the blood rushing to her cheeks in embarrassment. "I didn't see the gap." "You sure? Can you put weight on that foot?" someone asked. Natalie stood. Yes, I can. It's all right." She reached down and winced upon touching the shin, but could tell there wasn't an open cut. She was grateful when one of the teachers helped her to get on board. After he left, she reached down to touch the spot again and felt a bump already forming. She wished she'd asked for some ice. The others clambered on board after her. Most kids took up an entire seat, with their feet up and backs against the side of the bus. Right away, they popped in earphones to CD players or iPods or ripped open bags of snacks they'd grabbed from the vending machines with braille labels. Natalie plucked a water bottle from the side pocket of her backpack, took a swig, and pressed the icy bottle against her shin to dull the pain. The first week was over, but it had felt like a year. The kids were different for sure, and yet, when you took away their special needs, she thought, they were pretty much like everyone else. Miss Karen had told her that the blind school didn't used to have so many kids with multiple handicaps. When she was a student there years ago, blindness was the only problem the students had. Now, she explained, many blind children are mainstreamed into public school with special help from vision teachers and don't need the blind center. So the center became a place for children with other needs, in addition to a vision problem, plus kids like Natalie, Arnab, and Sheldon, the kids in the parallel universe who suddenly needed intensive instruction. About 2 hours into the trip, the bus pulled off the interstate. "Why are we stopping?" Arnab asked no one in particular. Serena turned around in her seat. "It's Frederick," she told him. "We picked up kids." "It's Frederick," she told him. "We pick up kids from the deaf school here." Natalie could hear them climbing aboard, finding seats, talking among themselves in an odd way. When she finally got one in her circle of vision, she noticed the sign language and could see Serena signing back to them. Suddenly, several of the deaf students burst out laughing. She wondered if they were laughing at something Serena had said, and if so, what it was. "Arnob," the bus driver called. "I think this is where you get off." Serena tapped Arnob on the shoulder because he had his earphones in. "It's Frederick, Arnob. The bus driver just announced it." "Yes, sir. Yes, I will be getting off in Frederick, right here." He seemed anxious as he scrambled to get all his things. "Have a nice weekend, Arnob," Natalie said. "Natalie? Is that you?" Yes. I didn't know you were there. You have a nice weekend, too." In Frederick, a huge traffic jam held up the bus, and another half hour crept by before they were even back on the main highway. Outside, it grew dark. Natalie's ears popped as they went over a mountain in a place called Hagerstown, I think. Serena got off. "See you Sunday," she said to Natalie. The "see you" part didn't bother Natalie, but the Sunday part did. "Have a nice weekend," Natalie told her. A few miles later, the bus broke down. The driver cussed and stomped off the bus heavily. Hours passed, and it grew cold. Sitting, waiting for another bus to come, Natalie pulled a sweatshirt on and tried calling home, but her cell phone battery had run out. So had the battery in her iPod. For sure she wouldn't be home in time to go to the fair, and it filled Natalie with mixed feelings. She wouldn't have to deal with darkness, but she'd miss out on being with her friends. A second bus finally brought Natalie to the small shopping center in Hawley. She was the last one off from a ride that had taken nearly 7 hours. "Let's get you home," her mother said, after rushing forward to embrace Natalie in the dark parking lot. Natalie's father was waiting in the kitchen at home with a sandwich. He hugged Natalie, but was strangely quiet as he sat down to eat. "Did Meredith call?" Natalie asked. No, I don't think so," her mother replied as she hurriedly prepared a bag of ice for Natalie's bruised shin. "Here, prop this leg up on the chair," she said. "That's it. And tell me about your roommate." "You sure Meredith didn't call?" Natalie asked again. "I'm sure," her mother said. "Frank, did you take any calls?" "No," he replied as he poured a glass of milk for Natalie. Natalie wondered why Meredith hadn't tried to get in touch. "So, your roommate, Natalie. Who is she?" Her mother persisted, kneeling on the floor and holding the bag of ice in place. "Her name is Gabriella," Natalie said, still distracted. "All I know is that she's from Baltimore and that she's blind from a recent accident." Her mother winced. "Car accident?" "I don't know," Natalie said. "Is she nice?" "Hard to say," Natalie answered, finally turning her attention to the question at hand. "She doesn't talk to anyone. The first night we were alone in the room, she couldn't find the door to the bathroom and stood there facing the wall with her pajamas in her hand. I got up and guided her over, but did she say anything like a simple thank you? Nope. Nope. Well, I'm glad you reached out to her. Natty, her mother said. Natalie finished the ham sandwich. You okay, Dad? She asked, wiping her mouth with a napkin. Is something wrong? The goats? Goats are all fine, Natty Bean, he said, using her childhood nickname. I'm just thinking. We cannot have this. Have what? This coming home late at night. Broken down by the side of the highway? I'd rather have you here. Don't start, Frank. Her mother cut him off. It's the first week and the bus broke down. It's not like it happens all the time. Jean, I'm not going to have Natalie sitting on the highway at all hours of the night. Mom, Dad. Natalie hated hearing her parents argue about her. They both fell silent. It was pretty late by then. Natalie didn't have the energy to say anything more. I'm going to bed, she said. She left, cutting through the living room quickly and easily avoiding the coffee table and the wing chair. In the wing chair that jutted into her path. She knew her house like the back of her hand. She would never need a cane to find her way at home. At night, Natalie kept her tinted eyeglasses in the same place. A shallow yarn basket by the sink in the upstairs bathroom. That way, in the mornings, she didn't have to search for them. She picked up the basket she'd made almost 4 years ago during a 6th grade camping trip and brought it close to her bed and brought it close to her face. She had chosen the shades of blue, her favorite color. Dark, deep water blue, high sky blue, azure, they called it, and a pale robin's egg blue. Sadly, she could barely tell those shades apart now. Natalie set the basket down. It was 11 o'clock. The numbers on the digital clock to her left glowed bright red and were so large that Natalie could still read them. She wondered if her friends were still at the fair. Turning out the light, she put her glasses in the basket and did her eye drops. It was 12 steps to the rug by her bed, where she pulled back the covers and jumped in. She was home. She savored the smell and feel of her smooth cotton sheets and the soothing tick-tock sound from the mantel clock downstairs. But she could still feel the bump on her shin throbbing, and a Ferris wheel turning in her mind. And a Ferris wheel turned in her mind.